What's up guys, James here from BootWizard Boot Reviews, and today we're talking signature colorways. In this hand I have the Neymar Speed Freak signature colorway, and in this hand I have the Mane Magum Rise of a Lion New Balance Furon. And what I want to talk about is the significance of signature colorways, how brands use them, and how they are presented to us in order for us to want to buy them. And overall, why I think New Balance are doing this a million times better than Nike. So the best way I can do this is to break down the inspirations behind why each of these boots were made and why they connect to each individual player, Neymar and Mane. So starting with the New Balance, this is the New Balance Magum, which when translated means rise. It's inspired by the Sim of Senegal, which is a Senegalese artistic ritual where a man transforms into a lion. So this is all reference to Mane's home country of Senegal. You can see in the patterning here, this is to represent the fur of a lion and tie into that whole idea of the Sim of Senegal and that transformation. So on the back here we have a visual representation of the distance that Mane had to travel to be able to become a professional footballer when he got his first contract, and that's from his hometown of Bambley up to the capital city, and each one of these lines represents part of that journey and part of the distance. The boots themselves are limited to 405 pairs, and that 405 is a reference to every single kilometre that Mane had to travel to get from one place to another, the distance between the two being 405 kilometers. The liner of the boot is also incredibly intricate and is Senegalese inspired, and also has that image of a lion in the back to tie everything together and tie it back to Mane's Senegalese heritage, and the whole idea that this is in reference to that Sim of Simba artistic cultural tradition. You also get a couple of Mane touches, the number 10 here, and the Sadio Mane name on this back here. You also get on the lace ends here, I'm not sure if I can get these into focus for you, but one of them has the date of Mane's first international goal, and the other one the date of Mane's first international appearance, alongside the Mane signature just on the insole there. All things that tie this boot together, tie it back to Mane, and I think in all honesty make this for a Mane fan an absolute must-have, especially when you consider how limited it is. So we're going to take that and we're going to compare it to the Vapor 13 Neymar Speed Freak. Now the inspiration for this is obviously Formula 1 racing. We have the checkered pattern through the Nike swoosh and that check pattern that runs all the way around the base of the boot, and is a real strong inspiration for this. Then we have the overall style logos that are printed around the back here, and they're all references to either Neymar's tattoos or previous Neymar Nike colorways. You also get the checkered flag insole, and also there's Neymar Jr branding down the front, which has very cleverly been made to look a little bit like the Mercurial brand. When you then listen to Nike talk about the inspirations behind this boot, as well as obviously it being Formula 1, how we tie that to Neymar is quite simply that he is fast and he likes fast cars and he's a fan of Formula 1. That's it. There is no story behind this boot. This is quite simply a boot made for Neymar with some Neymar graphics on that has some Formula 1 reference. You could quite as easily have taken this boot, put some graphics on it in relation to Kylian Mbappe, and you would have ended up with basically the same impact. You could have claimed that Mbappe was a big fan of Formula 1 and that he's an incredibly fast player. What I'm saying is the boot doesn't mean anything. The storytelling from Nike, especially on their Neymar boots, is in short poor. Even if we take his previous generation, his previous model, the Shh boots. Now, this is obviously inspired by his Rihanna-inspired tattoo, and they gave a whole story about how it's Neymar goes to like his quiet place in order to be able to go out and perform. And I think they did that because they didn't want to come out and be like, this is about Neymar quietening down his haters, which is what they should have done, because at the time he wasn't playing. He was injured. The boots were only ever worn by Dani Alves. It's difficult to quiet down your haters when you're not even on the pitch. So between these two boots, I much prefer the Neymar Speed Freak. I think it's Neymar's best ever colourway. I think that it's the best Vapor 13 colourway that we've seen so far. And honestly, I think it's absolutely knocking it out of the park. The problem being that there's no story. There's no connection to Neymar. Neymar has an absolute army of fans, and over the last few years when he's been receiving Neymar Special Edition boots or Neymar Signature Collection boots, they've not been selling. These boots have not sold even to the hardcore Neymar fans. I must admit, I don't know what the sales are like on this, but it continues on this trend. Nike are doing something wrong. He's one of the biggest global football stars, and nobody's buying his boots. I think part of the problem is quite simply that he hasn't really achieved anything in order to justify a signature release. He's injured all the time, he tends to be in the press for the wrong reasons. When these were released, he was trying to force a move out of PSG very publicly to move back to Barcelona. His public persona outside of his fans is not a good one. Do I want to wear a pair of boots with Neymar's name on it when that's the kind of player he is? The diving, the theatrics? Absolutely not. And although I think it's improved in this is the only real overt Neymar reference, do you still want to wear a pair of Neymar boots? And if I did, I want them to have a story. I want them to have a reason and have an emotional connection to that player. This is something that the Furon has. While at the time these were released, Mane was not a Champions League winner. What they've done is they've taken information about his heritage, where he came from, that 405 kilometers in order to play football, and they've taken it and built it into a story about this football boot. This, for me, is easily the best signature boot that's been released this year by any brand, and that includes going back to last year. We had CR7 Chapter Series boots, which do have story, and that's something that Nike are absolutely killing, the CR7 Chapter Series. Neymar doesn't have those accolades that CR7 has in order to justify something like a Chapter Series. So why do we keep making him boots? They don't sell, and he doesn't have a reason to need them. So in conclusion, while I absolutely love this boot and I love this colorway, and if you ask me to pick visually between the two, I pick the Vapor every time. When it comes down to a signature release, to a signature colorway, to something that tells a story, has emotion and draws me in, this just isn't in the same ballpark as this. And for me, New Balance are absolutely smashing it out the park with Mane's signature releases, and this is a boot that I am delighted to have in my collection. I, through my channel, buy and sell a lot of boots just to be able to fund the channel. I'm not sponsored or anything like that for anybody that's asking, but hey, you know, give me a call if somebody wants to. But this is a boot that I would never sell. This is a very special boot, and this is one that I want in my collection. This is a boot that if somebody offered me the right amount of money, I would happily hand it over, because I don't feel any differently about this Vapor than I do about my new Lights Vapor, even though this is a signature. But that's all from BootWizard here today. I'm really interested to know your opinions on this. What do you think of the Neymar, of the Mane? Do you think that Nike need to step up their game, or do you think knocking out really good looking releases is actually all they need to do? Drop that information down in the comments. Remember to like this video if you find this type of information, this type of video interesting, and always remember to subscribe by clicking here. Click to see my other content by clicking here. But have a good one. BootWizard will see you soon.